Welcome, everyone, to the February 16th City Council public hearing. Welcome, everyone here and at home. The first hearing this evening is an ordinance adopting hazardous substance user fees. City Manager?
Thank you, Mayor. In accordance with the Eugene City Charter and City Code, all costs of running the Eugene Toxics Right to Know program must be covered by fees assessed to businesses in Eugene that are hazardous substance users. For fiscal year 2017, the Toxics Board is unanimously recommending the City Council adopt a fee of $48.29 per full-time equivalent employee, which is a per FTE decrease of $7.79 in comparison to last year's fee.
Thank you. I'm going to open the public hearing. Those wishing to speak during the public hearing must submit a completed request to speak form to the information desk prior to the beginning of the public hearing. When you come to the podium, please give your name, city of residence, and for Eugene residents, your ward if known. You will have 3 minutes to comment. There are lights on the timer. The red light indicates the end of 3 minutes. And we have 2 people signed up. First up is Andre Phelps, followed by Christine Zeller-Powell.
Good evening. My name is Andre Phelps, and I live in Ward 3. Currently, I am the chairwoman of the Toxics Right to Know Program Board, and I am here tonight just to be here.
Can you speak up just a little bit?
Yes. Sorry. I'm here to support the presentation of the budget and the annual report. There were just a few things I wanted to talk about the board. There are two items we're hoping to implement in this upcoming fiscal year that we're pretty excited about. The first is that we're hoping to do a little bit more outreach as board members ourselves to the community. We're seeing the need to really get to know some people in the neighborhood associations, the Chamber of Commerce, to really explain the program better, to really let everyone know the kind of information we have available and really the constraints that we're under and really what we're allowed to do. The second item is we have, in response to a lot of complaints that not are specifically about the Toxics program, but really more about the cost and the time required for all of the programs that the manufacturers in the town have to report about, is that we're seeing that there are just some simple fixes that we can put onto our website and our platform in terms of simplifying things for businesses in terms of, well, one example is the units of reporting are different for El Rapa versus for the Toxics Board or the Toxics program. So a simple fix to that would be being able to convert that within our system so that the manufacturers can then export that and use it easier for the next reporting entity. And I also just wanted to mention briefly tonight, that's about all I have to say, but we just, this week, we lost a previous board member, Rick Nickel, who was the president of Western Pneumatics, and I had the pleasure to work with him for a year. And he obviously was an industry representative. He was a man who had a lot of stories to tell, and he added a lot of flavor to the board. And he, similarly to other industry members, he had some complaints about the program in general. But what I really did appreciate from him is once he really understood the program, he definitely wanted to see it applied equitably around the city. So he was a real joy to work with, and we're sad to have lost him. So, and finally, thank you for the appointment. It's been a real pleasure to serve on the board. And I also wanted to quickly mention our staff support, Joanne Epley. She's done an amazing job. We could not do what we do without her. So she is very thorough and a real pleasure to work with. So thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Christine Zeller-Powell.
Is this light kind of...
You don't have to do anything, just talk into the mic.
All right. My name is Christine Zeller-Powell, and I live in the city of Eugene, Ward 2. I am in my 5th year volunteering as a public right to know advocate member of the Eugene Toxics Board. My term ends in June. I would like to speak in favor of this proposed ordinance setting the fiscal year 2016-17 fee for the program. And I wanted to go over a few of the things that we've done in the last several years, improvements we've made to the program. The Eugene Toxics Right to Know program is an important and unique program. It's enacted by the citizens of Eugene and provides the public with easily accessible information about the use of toxic substances in our community. Some of this information is available from other sources, but a lot of it is not, and that's due in part to the different reporting levels of different federal and state programs. Our reporting level is lower, and so this information is not necessarily reported to other entities. In the last several years, the board has overseen several significant improvements in the administration of this program. For example, the list of reportable chemicals has been thoroughly reviewed and updated by checking with all of the federal statutes that are covered under the program and just cleaning up that list, which was no small feat. The website and instructions for reporting have been overhauled. And also, at the direction of the board, a process was developed to identify new businesses that should be covered by the program. There has not been such a process in place until very recently, the last couple of years. This process involves sending questionnaires to manufacturing businesses in the city of Eugene, and among other things, asking these businesses about their use of toxic substances. Only manufacturers that indicate they use toxic substances are required to pay a fee under this program. In the near future, the board is going to be discussing the creation of a process to deal with situations where a manufacturer indicates on the questionnaire that we send them that they do not use substances, toxic substances, or use less than is required to report. But sometimes we have other information available that suggests that that is not the case. It's not a big problem, but it has come up. So as I believe that it's important that we properly identify all of the businesses in Eugene that are covered under this program, both because we need to have a level playing field for the businesses and because we need to provide the citizens of Eugene with information about the use of toxic substances in our community. So also, I wanted to note our annual report, which we submitted recently to the City Council, indicates that in the last 5 years, even with a decrease in the number of reporting businesses by 2 businesses, there's been a 30% increase overall in the level of toxic substances reported under this program, which is a significant increase, and I think it shows that this issue is very relevant today. It's not going away.
Thank you.
So this is an important program. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to close the public hearing. Thank you very much for coming and talking to us, and I appreciate the changes and efforts that have been made to create a level playing field. And as you continue to look at ways to do that, my only thought is years ago, as you know, this was a result of a lot of action taken by citizens to know about the toxics in their community. And so as you make any changes, it seems really important to me that we get the information out so that the folks who are engaged in it at the front end know those changes are happening. Anybody else? All right. Thank you very much. We'll go on to the next. Oh, this is...
This action item.
Right. Anybody object to taking action on this tonight? I see no one. So, we'll put the motion on the table.
I move to adopt Council Bill 5152, adopting hazardous substance user fees for the fiscal year commencing July 1st, 2016.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor, please indicate. 4, 5, 6 in favor. Is Councilor Zelenka on the line? No. Okay. And so there's no opposition, so it passes. Thank you very much. Next, second public hearing is an ordinance extending the sunset dates of the Rest Stop and Dusk to Dawn pilot program. City Manager?
Thank you, Mayor. The current Rest Stop and Dusk to Dawn permitted overnight sleeping pilot programs are set to sunset on March 31st, 2016. This public hearing is on an ordinance that would extend both programs until March 31st, 2017 and permit the city to continue operating these programs in accordance with council approval of specific sites. In addition to council approval of sites, staff work with neighboring residents and businesses to ensure a clear and accurate understanding of the programs, as well as address questions or concerns. The program currently supports 5 rest stops, 3 of which are managed by community-supported shelters, and 2 by Nightingale Health Sanctuary in partnership with Lane County, and allows up to 15 individuals to stay at a stop. An expansion of up to 20 persons may be provided at the city manager's discretion for an operator with a proven track record of successfully managing a rest stop for at least 6 months.
Thank you. Open the public hearing. Those wishing to speak have submitted a request to speak form prior to beginning of this hearing. And when you come to the podium, please give your name, city of residence, your ward if you know it, and you'll have 3 minutes to comment. The lights are on the timer. The red light indicates the end of 3 minutes. There are 3 people signed up for this. First up is Tracy Jocelyn, followed by Kelly Mortensen.
Good evening. My name is Tracy Jocelyn. I'm currently living in George Polling's ward. I live at NHS Rest Stop as a co-manager with Nathan Showers. We are living off of MLK Jr. Boulevard, just across from the U of O Ducks practice field. Nightingale Health Sanctuary Rest Stop has been operating since December 2015. Our rest stop is the result of a partnership between the city, the county, and our steering committee and residents. We are very grateful to all of you for the opportunity to prove that the rest stop model is working. You have allowed people who are homeless to have a place to legally call home. The resulting stability leads to life improvements. Many of our residents have moved on to permanent housing. Disclaimer, we should have numbers here to dazzle you, but we've been a little busy. Although funding would be nice, we appreciate our liaison, Mike Kinnison, who is very good at what he does, and we appreciate him. Now we're going to have the opportunity to work with Reagan from the city manager's office as well. We are also indebted to our water source, Henry and Marcia, James, who brings us wood, our steering committee, and countless community members that show us love through support. We will have an open house Sunday, March 13th, noon till 3. We welcome and encourage all of you to stop by then or anytime. We wish you all could experience what Nathan and I do. It is work that requires true diligence, but improvements are constant in people's lives and way to assist people. Our community is strong. Last night at our camp meeting, we had a birthday party for me. We had a great meeting, and then afterwards everybody was sitting around the campfire, and camaraderie was so evident. It felt really good. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We have been working hard to prove that a legally sanctioned camp works. We still wish it was for 100-plus people. And I would like to give a shout out to all the people who are homeless without a platform palace that keeps the rain out. Well, almost. Please keep creating opportunities for all people who are homeless. Thank you.
Thank you. Kelly Mortensen is next, followed by Christopher Pope.
Hi, my name is Kelly Mortensen, and my significant and other and I back here became homeless about 3 weeks ago. We've went through more obstacles in our life being homeless than we ever have in our lives. So you worked for 40 years, and I did for 25 and pay taxes. Was meeting Red and Tracy over here to give us a warm place, and they've actually given us more resources and helped us more than our disability workers have downtown. And I thank God, I thank the city, thank the county, thank all you members here that have let us have this place to now. I guess we don't call ourselves homeless now, we're just houseless. But it's going to be great to have such a wonderful feeling of home, because homeless people are people too, you know. I think that people should be more educated about homeless people, that they're not all just bad, they're as good in everything. And I just thanks everybody and take my hats off to you guys. Thank you so much. God bless.
Thank you. Christopher Pope is next.
Good evening. My name is Christopher Pope. I just recently had the opportunity to see the inner workings of a rest stop. I've known of the rest stop program for quite some time, and I wanted to come and let you folks know that lots of times it at least seems to me that for leadership, the hard thing to quantify is the real world benefit that this program and programs like this are creating. Without being on the ground in the trenches, so to speak, you don't see the long-term drug addicts that are now clean and sober. You don't see the mothers who have their children restored to them. And so it's these kinds of things that I want to let you know are real. They're there to be seen if you come and take up the invitation to come and see the camps and meet some of the folks. The evidence of what's happening is there if you just look for it, and I wanted to encourage that. I want to commend all of you for the wisdom in putting this program together. From a personal standpoint, I know it works and it can work, but not just for myself, for the entire community. And I don't mean the houseless community. I mean for all of us as a society. This is one of many steps in the many challenges of this issue, as you well know, but it's one that works. It comes with compassion and heart and real love, and for that, I stand to advocate and witness to you. Keep it up, please.
Thank you. Now close the hearing. I did want to say that I think many of us would have been interested in being able to pass this tonight, but Councilor Poling brought up early on that timing may change a little bit with the weather changing and the light changing, and so we need to take a time to look at that, and we can't make any changes and take care of it tonight, but we will as soon as we can. Okay, Councilor Surratt.
If I could just make some relevant comments. Back at the end of October, a research group at the University of Oregon, independent of the city, chose to do a research project on the rest stops and OVE. So it's the community planning workshop at the University of Oregon, and they issued a report. And I just want to read briefly from the kind of the top level conclusions. And there's data to support all of these conclusions. So their general conclusion is that the programs are working, that the lack of affordable housing remains the biggest barrier to providing for the unhoused in Eugene, that the Housing First strategy is a demonstrated transitional housing strategy that is effective and saves money, that very few individuals residing at the rest stops or Opportunity Village are homeless by choice, that the rest stops and Opportunity Village residents have more self-confidence, are better able to provide for themselves, and feel as though they are part of a community by being able to stay at those locations. The rest stop ordinance is successful at providing a legal place for the unhoused to sleep, which was a big goal we had. They also observe that our ordinance lacks a clear purpose statement and suggests that we might add one. And the Opportunity Village has been successful in transitioning individuals into more permanent housing. Neighboring businesses and residents, they interviewed 99 folks who live or work nearby the rest stops, and those folks are very supportive of the program. Over 80% are supportive of the program and have experienced little to no negative impacts by living near those facilities. They do note that the location of the rest stops, all clustered into one part of the city, represents an equity issue that should be addressed. And then they encourage us to work in a more coordinated fashion, and they acknowledge that Lane County Human Services Commission and the Poverty and Homelessness Board are an important part of that, and so they recognize it's not just on the city to do that, but really encourage us to work in a more coordinated fashion. So I'm really pleased with this report and happy to share it, and it inspires me to want to try to make our rest stop program permanent and not a pilot project, and then find more locations. I think it's very significant that we find no significant negative impacts on the neighborhoods in which we've located the current rest stops, and real benefits beyond just emergency housing for those living there, which makes me think that we'd want to try to transition our Egan warming centers into more permanent rest stops so we'd have more of those benefits realized for residents. Thank you.
Is anybody, Councilor Brown?
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks, guys, for coming down and testifying both on the toxics issue and the rest stops. And thank you to Councilor Syrett for reading those words from the U of O study. There have been other studies that have basically said the same thing in other cities. We know this model works now, and it's not really an experiment anymore. It's been going on for a while, and this winter we only opened up spaces for 20 more unhoused people, 20 in a new rest stop camp and 20 in a car camp. We just saw a report on the state of the city parks a couple weeks ago at council, and the Parks Department spent $250,000 in cleaning up after homeless rest camps. When there were, 700 or so? There were 715 homeless camping spots along Amazon Creek in the Willamette River. Surely it would not... It would be the right thing to do to expand this program greatly, not only for just basic, decent humanitarian reasons, but for, it's going to be cheaper. So I'm hoping that I will try to start some discussions at the Budget Committee meetings coming up here. I think we can redirect some of this money and really get serious and open up a whole bunch more. And I agree they should be spread around town, and I think every ward and every neighborhood needs to step up and help people that need, a safe place to stay. And so it's great. I mean, they're working fine, and we can do a lot more. And I feel that now's the time for us to step up and do that. Thank you.
Councilor Fryer?
Then George. Thank you. I really appreciate the success that the Rest Stop program has been so far, and I agree it's something we should definitely look at turning into a permanent thing. And I think if you look at the continuum of shelter through housing, you have to make sure that all of the pieces connect together and support each other. And to that, I know we'll be talking about housing first very soon. And that is another part of the continuum. And I guess the important point to make is that you don't want to encourage one piece of the continuum at the expense of another piece, because then the pieces no longer connect. So I think when we have the conversations about housing first, we want to do it in such a way that it can build on and enhance the sheltering effort so that people can move out of shelters as quickly as possible and into housing, which I think is the real goal. So you don't stop doing A in order to support B. You do A and B because they are connected. And from that standpoint, then we need to look at ways that we can reasonably provide more shelter and support at the beginning of that continuum, because the program does work. And to me, the best sheltering options are the ones that are managed, thoughtful, supervised, and safe. And those are the ones that we have encouraged. It's the ones we support, and I think it's the ones that we really want to have. And when we can do it that way, I think it's a great start to the continuum. So my point is, they're all useful things to do, and maybe as part of the budget discussion, we have to figure out how we can continue to support all of the options along the continuum without having to make sacrifices somewhere else. And I know that's going to be very tough, so I look forward to that conversation.
Councilor Foley?
Thank you. Mr. City Manager, am I correct that we have not had any new sites established under the dusk to dawn overnight sleeping ordinance that we passed in November?
The one that we passed in November, we have the one.
Just the one? Okay. I am a little concerned, as the mayor said, about with the time change coming up March 13th, and also with the days getting longer. Perhaps maybe staff can talk to some of the people that run the rest stops and run this one site, and kind of get a feel about what they think would be a good approach on changing that time as it stays lighter longer, because at 4:30 in the afternoon in September or August, July, it's the middle of the afternoon, and you got plenty of daylight left. And I don't think it would be right to have the people start to congregate at these rest stops at 4:30 and setting up, I don't know, maybe we need to have a discussion with the people that run these to come up with some sort of an idea how we can adjust the time during the summer months.
Yeah, what we'll be doing is exactly that, is figuring out an option or options on how actually the ordinance is flexible. The ordinance and the rules, procedures could be flexible enough to adjust with the seasons and to actually ensure that what your intent is we're able to implement that through the ordinance or the rules. So that's what we'll be coming back with, is ideas on how to do that.
Thank you.
So I just want to say happy birthday to Tracy. And then I wanted to say that I recently heard that Community Supported Shelters is in the process of opening another rest stop. So in a place where a prior one was. So it won't solve your problem, but it will add up a little more. And I also want to suggest, as we think about this system and how these new programs fit into that system, that we don't try to figure it out for everybody, that we actually ask the people who live in them, and then we ask the people who are professionals in this field to give us their best thinking about it, so that we don't try to come up with something that we don't actually know enough about to probably have those professional skills, and we haven't lived in them. So I think these are things that we need to learn and do the most useful thing that we can. So I encourage us, as we move into this next discussion, to really open it up to the folks who can really inform us and help us make good decisions. So, and with that, I just want to thank everybody for being here tonight, and that will be the end of our hearings for this evening. Thank you very much.